Good evening. I'd like to call to order the July 8th City Council meeting. Clerk Jackson, would you please call the roll?
Certainly. Councilmember Brown. Councilmember Carter.
Here.
Councilmember Garza.
Here.
Councilmember Hussein. Councilmember Jackson. Councilmember Koss.
Here.
Councilmember I've been practicing all day. Vivlanagu. Thanks. Yeah. Councilmember Spataford. We have a quorum present. We have Councilmember Hussein, Brown, and Spataford who are absent. And we're on to meditation and pledge of allegiance.
Okay. Do we have anybody from council that would like someone to be remembered at this point?
Thank you, President Garza. I would like for us to remember Mrs. Evita Salinas. She was a pillar in the Lansing community, and she was one of the founding members of Cristo Rey Church here in Lansing. And in April of this year, 2024, she celebrated her 105th birthday. Unfortunately, she did pass away this afternoon, and I would like to offer my deepest condolences to her family and loved ones.
Thank you. Mayor Shore.
Oh, thank you, Mr. President. If those haven't heard, Linda Sanchez Gazella, who used to work for the city twice, her grandson was shot and killed over the weekend in Texas. I know her family is hurting, and I know we are all thinking about her, but I hope we would remember her in our thoughts and prayers. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, with that, we'll take a moment, rise for meditation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Bless you.
Okay, next we're to approval of printed council proceedings for June 10th and June 24th.
I'm looking for a motion from Councilman Cost.
I would move the June 1st and June 24th, 2024 meetings as written.
Thank you. We have a proper motion in place. Do we have any additional questions, comments from council? Seeing none, all those in favor, please state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passes.
All right, next we are to special ceremonies, presentation and substantial amendment to fiscal year 2021 annual action plan to include home ARP allocation plan.
Okay, I believe we have Tyler Blakey in the audience. How you doing, sir? Please come on down to the well. Make sure the green light is on. And the floor is yours. Hello.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Tyler Blakey. I'm the Community Development Coordinator with the City of Lansing, and I am here to present on the substantial amendment for Home ARP, the 2021 Annual Action Plan. So the Annual Action Plan was signed into law by President Joe Biden on March 11th, 2021, and Lansing received about $2.7 million in home ARP funding through the Home Investment Partnership Program. This funding was to be allocated by substantial amendment to the city's 2021 Annual Action Plan for CDBG and home, and it's to be used for housing activities for qualifying populations. The eligible activities for home ARP are rental housing, the development of rental housing, tenant-based rental assistance, supportive services, non-congregate shelters, and nonprofit operating and capacity building assistance capped at 5%, and administration and planning, which is capped at 15%. Now, qualifying populations, there are four kinds. The first kind is homeless, which is defined by the McKinney-Vento Act. At risk of homelessness, persons fleeing or attempting to flee domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, stalking, or human trafficking, persons at greatest risk of housing instability, i.e. people under 30% of the area median income, or 50% of the area median income and at risk of homelessness, and veterans or families of veterans that meet criteria 1 through 4. So these are the people that we are allowed to help through the Home ARP program, and these are the populations we are trying to serve. We identified the priority needs through a consultation process, and the number one need is to increase the supply of affordable housing development through production of new rental units, shelter facilities through the development of non-congregate shelter, homeless prevention assistance through supportive services such as utility assistance, employment assistance and case management, and capacity building and organizational development. We are currently undergoing a 30-day public comment period for the draft Home ARP allocation plan. That's been going on since June 13th and will end on July 15th, and it's available on the city's website and at the Economic Development and Planning Department. We have a general public hearing scheduled at City Council on July 22nd at 7 p.m. And then the summary of the changes, the biggest one is that we increased the funding for development of rental housing from about 1.5 million to 2.1 million. And this allows us to provide the needed gap funding for Hillsdale Place, a 40-unit rental development that will provide 20 units of permanent supportive housing for qualifying populations and an additional 20 units for LIHTC units. These will be serving populations at or below 60% of the area median income. So this is a project I'm very proud of to be working on. To do this, we had to decrease funding for acquisition and development of non-congregate shelters from $500,000 to $0. And we had to decrease our funding for supportive services from $300,000 to $264,458. In addition, we added a preference for households who are chronically homeless and meet at least one of the definitions of the qualifying populations. Adding a preference allows for an eligible applicant that qualifies for a PJ adopted preference to be selected for Home ARP assistance before another eligible applicant that does not qualify for a preference. And then those are the major changes. I provided a slideshow, and I'm not sure if you guys have it, but the pages after the summary detail the proposed changes to the budget, and then the page after that provides a definition of chronically homeless, and the big takeaways is they have been homeless continuously for at least 12 months or at least 4 separate occasions within the last 3 years, as long as the combined occasions equal at least 12 months, and each break in homelessness separating the occasions included at least 7 consecutive nights of not living as described above. So those are people that desperately need to be served, and that's why we decided to put a preference for them. And the last slide, I provided my contact information, and as well as Doris Witherspoon's contact information, who is a senior planner. That is everything I have, and I'm willing to take any questions if you have any.
Well, I appreciate you being here, Tyler. Thank you for the presentation. Do we have any questions from council? I see no questions. I do have just a couple. Could you, just for the record, for the public, what is the area median income?
The area median income is what HUD uses to determine who is eligible to qualify for their programs. And the basic area median income rule is 80%. And so that, for a family of 4, would be about $74,000. And it's based on household size.
Okay, and my last question is how do you keep track of who is homeless and who's been homeless for the period of that 12 months?
We use the continuum of care, and we have a coordinated entry process that we are going to utilize. And that essentially, they combine their resources so that they can identify who is homeless. And when they apply for services, they enter this information that identifies if they're a qualifying population or not.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Tyler. See no further questions from council. Much appreciated for being here tonight. Thank you. All right.
Okay, the next we are to comments by council members and the city clerk.
Okay, looking for any council member comments at this time? Seeing none. No comments from council at this time.
Okay, well, I have just a little bit of an update here on behalf of the city clerk. Just want to share that the ballots for the partisan primary election have been mailed. In fact, we received over 1,800 today, so folks are really getting those ballots and turning around pretty quickly. For those on the permanent ballot list, and if you have not received your ballot, then please call us, 483-4133, because you should have received those by now. Anyone else who wants a ballot mailed to them, you can still sign up online at lansingvotes.gov or put a sign request in one of our drop boxes or email a screenshot to us because we need to verify your signature. Lastly, I just want to add that we're looking for paid interns for this fall and spring semester. So please email your resume and cover letter to me, brian.jackson@lansingmi.gov. We certainly prioritize local candidates for that. And with that, we are to community event announcements. If anyone in the audience has any event to share, you have 1 minute to speak, to share details. You can go.
Okay. The Old Ever Neighborhoods neighborhood meeting will be on the 10th of July, which is this Wednesday, at 6:30 p.m. From 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. That is the Old Everett Neighborhood Association neighborhood meeting, July 10th. It will be at 3525 South Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, the Village Lansing. I assume that's still the location, so we will. So I have sent out. I have an agenda on the Facebook page if anyone wants to read it. So we will discuss what we got, and as well as having electing new members to the neighborhood association. Those are vice president, treasurer, secretary, and regular board members for the Kendon and Kavanaugh precincts. And again, you got to be within the boundaries of the neighborhood association to be eligible for any of these positions.
Thank you.
Okay, registration is open for anyone who wants to volunteer to help clean the 61 grave markers in the Boys Training School section at Mount Hope Cemetery. That project will be going on this Sunday, the 14th, beginning at 1 o'clock. It will take about an hour, and we will provide buckets and sponges and scissors and whatever so that you can clean and scrub the markers, clear them of grass and debris. We'll have disposable gloves. We'll also provide snacks and beverages. If you'd like to sign up to volunteer with this project, you can do so at our website, lansingsemfriends.org, by clicking on the event listing link there, or email us at lanssemfriends@aol.com. Hope to see you there.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. The One Faith event is this Saturday at Walk in Truth Church. It will be involved with Crossroads, and the state police and LPD and different vendors will be there, and there'll be food from 11 to 3 this Saturday. You'll enjoy it. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Alyssa Tersak. I use she, her pronouns. I am usually watching you from YouTube, so it is surreal to see you all in person. I run a group called Sober in Lansing, which hosts monthly alcohol-free meetups in Lansing. We do all sorts of fun things together, and it's for anyone who wants to meet your neighbors without alcohol. I happen to be in recovery, but there are people who are both sober curious, which is maybe just kind of wanting to test what it's like to hang out without alcohol. All of this to say, please tell people in the community who might be looking for more community without alcohol. I would love to have them join us. And our next meetup is on Wednesday, July 17th from 7 to 9 p.m. Check out Instagram and Facebook, Turner Dodge House. Apologies. It is the concerts in the park, so that's connected to this as well, which is really fun.
Any other events? Any other events? Seeing none, then we're on to speaker registration for public comment on legislative matters. You have a minute to catch up with Tyron to sign in on the completed blue sheet to speak on any items 3 through 18 on the agenda, which includes public hearing, consent agenda, resolutions for action. If you want to speak, you must sign in on the blue sheet. And we have no virtual. And so now we're on to mayor's comments.
Mayor Shore.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I want to thank everybody who came and participated in the parade on July 4th. We had a lot of folks there, so it was great. Similarly, thank you to the many people that showed up for the Lansing Concert Band concert in the park, in Adado Park. There were a lot of people there, and then I understand from my councilman friend to me to my left here that the Pink Floyd concert also went pretty well. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But we had a lot going on July 4th, so that was great. The fireworks were great, so thank you for everybody for participating. Very few issues, which is always a great thing. Wanted to update people, anyone who saw that they got incorrect tax forms. We were very aggressive in trying to let folks know if you got a tax form. It's generally the copies if you have a mortgage company that pays your taxes. Many of those were wrong, and that was due to an incorrect lineup in fields and a data merge. The corrections have gone out. We got ours over the weekend, so test case, we got ours, and it was correct. So everybody should have their updated forms, but certainly feel free to contact our Treasury Department or 311. I know they were overwhelmed in the last week or so apologies. But it sounds like the problem has been fixed and the correct information has been sent out. I want to congratulate Chief Ellery Sosby on his retirement. We're going to miss him, but we appreciate all he's done for our city. As I've told the public and council, Rob Backus is the interim chief, so we're excited for his leadership and the process moving forward. I want to congratulate Shelby Freyer on her new opportunities. She is left as deputy mayor and is moving on to other opportunities that she has. And again, Christopher Mumby is going to be taking on the duties as a chief administrative officer as well as doing IT. We're going to test that out and see how it goes. But I have every confidence in Christopher Mumby. I want to remind people that our Human Relations and Community Services has a health and wellness fair on August 1st from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. on the Capitol lawn. There will be 30 agencies there, so there will be a lot of folks there, and we're excited to provide resources for those in our community. Tomorrow at 3 p.m. there will be a ribbon cutting at the Fulton Park Overlook. We're excited to have that complete and be able to do that over in Eaton County, in Lansing, Eaton County. And I think I mentioned last time, but I'll mention again, every other week yard waste starts today. So we'll have yard waste every other week, and then that'll change in September when the leaves start falling. We'll go back to weekly. And then finally, a positive, I talked to Kathleen Edgerly with Downtown Lansing, Inc., and she informed me that we actually have 24 restaurants in our downtown or stadium district that are open over the weekend. So when we hear a lot about, things aren't open over the weekend or they're not open as late at night, restaurants are opening over the weekend. So we invite everybody down to our downtown and the stadium district to grab a bite to eat and enjoy yourself over the weekend in addition to the weekdays. That's what I got. Thanks, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Okay, then we are to public comment on legislative matters. Legislative matters consist of the following items on the agenda. We have 3 public hearings, repealing and replacing the existing sign ordinance in its entirety, readopting the codified ordinances, and the sale of the city property for David C. Hollister, Lansing City Hall building, as well as the consent agenda and agenda for action. Public may speak up to 3 minutes. And the first speaker is Loretta Stanaway, followed by our last speaker, Nick Zandy.
Okay, first thing, City Hall. You know how I feel about that. I would still like to see us develop it as a hotel if it's gonna be a hotel versus having an outside developer do it. And we could certainly use the income from generating lease agreements or sale agreements for penthouse suites on the top floors and utilizing the LPD section of the building as dedicated and space for those facilities, so they have a dedicated entrance and concierge location, dedicated facilities that support the penthouse suites. It would be something unique. Everybody keeps saying that the money from the state has to go to something that's different and unique and an improvement. It certainly would be an improvement to have penthouse suites overlooking the Capitol on the primest piece of property in the city, which brings me to my next point, which is if we are going to sell this building and the property it sits on, we certainly have to sell it for more than what they're offering. It is a ridiculously low price. We need an outside, independent, unbiased, current assessment of the value of this property, because if it were just a hole in the ground with no building on it, it would be worth more than what we're being offered. We are sick and tired as a public of having to give away our properties and then pay top dollar to replace them. That also leads me to the subject of the resolution in support of turning the former Eastern High School into a mental health facility for the University of Michigan. I don't think there's anyone who doesn't support the idea of having more facilities and services for mental health needs. We all know they're underserved. However, there is nothing that says that that building cannot be redeveloped and used as a mental health facility and still preserve that structure, other than the unwillingness of the University of Michigan to do that. There's no financial reason, there's no physical reason, there's no logical reason that that could not take place. You have countries all over Europe that reutilize 400- and 500-year-old buildings. We certainly can adapt one building to the use of the proposed needs that the University of Michigan has expressed. Keeping in mind, if they want to be, as they have said, a good citizen, a good member of the community, they should respect and honor the intention of the sale the public agreed to. When the public voted to sell that facility to Sparrow, it was with the understanding, if not the actual legal language embedded in the document, that it would be used for a training ground for nurses. They were going to turn it into a school, if you will, to teach nurses their trades and skills and build their workforce. And that was the premise on which the public agreed to sell the property to Sparrow. So if it isn't embedded legally in the obligation to do that, it certainly is by spirit. And the U of M would be a much better public citizen and get a lot better PR if they honored that public spirit instead of insisting that they can't adapt that building. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Nicholas Sandy.
So you pretty much already know who I am. Despite being an old Everett neighborhood resident and an alumni of Everett High School, I still believe that all schools should be treated as equally as possible. To say this about the Eastern High School property being used for a mental health facility, I support that, and I think that that Sparrow should, or the University of Michigan, wherever that is, should at least commit to it. And from what I've heard, they've been considering tearing the whole thing down, which is just a terrible, from what I've heard from the City Pulse, which is just, if true, really terrible idea to tear down a historic building like that. But also, I want to say this, that if you're going to use that building, they should renovate it. I mean, I have no problem with renovating buildings. My high school, Everett High School, by the way, it was renovated over the years, and I'd say it looks a lot better now, and it looks way more updated. They changed the windows, they've changed the cafeteria and some of the ceilings to make the building more structurally sound than it had been in the past. And so the same should be done for Eastern High School. Maybe update the old Eastern High School building, maybe update it so that because from what I've heard of the whole asbestos thing, get a contractor to get all that asbestos out. And again, do something with the building, like that mental health facility or anything for that matter. And they need to be upfront with the public on what they're going to do with it, and just not do anything with it or tear the whole thing down or sell it again. Honestly, it just shows this whole thing. America is one of the few countries that doesn't have full-on public health care. And if we did have full-on public health care, the Sparrow would just be a health department of either the city of Lansing or the county of Ingham, and they would do exactly what the government tells them to, and that would be, and if that is to preserve the building and renovate it so that it can be used as a health facility, then they do it. It would be a jump how high thing. But yet they would have to be open to the public about what they're doing. But as they are still a private entity, they're allowed to basically do whatever they want without much government oversight, except for purchasing certain property. They absolutely need to have more government oversight, which is again why I believe that healthcare should be public and not private.
Thank you. We are to the referral of the public hearings. We have the sign ordinance.
Okay, the repealing and replacement of the existing sign ordinance, I'll just give you a brief summary of it. The Economic Department and Planning Department's Planning and Zoning Office has been working diligently on a complete replacement of the existing sign ordinance, Chapter 1442. This chapter was adopted in 1990 and has had a handful of revisions in the years since. The existing regulations reference the defunct zoning districts that were replaced by the form-based zoning code. Case law related to sign content has also changed in the last few years. Because of those references needed to be revised, this was an opportune time to comprehensively review and update the entire chapter.
And what committee is that going?
That came out of Committee of Development and Planning.
Okay.
Then readopting the codified ordinances that came out of Committee of the Whole, and this is something done annually. And then the sale of city property, David C. Hollister, Lansing City Hall building, that came out of Committee of the Whole. We had a lengthy presentation on June 24th. It's approximately proposed 183 hotel room. The purchase price would be $2,780,000 as is. There's no tax incentives, and there'd be about 60 spaces on-site parking with approximately no less than 100 spaces off-site. And that's about it for that. So that will, that came out of Committee of the Whole.
I go Committee of the Whole. And then I'd like to add into the record, we have some written public comment. One was dealing with the Committee of the Whole presentation with Lansing Board and Light. Then we have the following letter or emails in support of the resolution for Lansing Eastern mental health facility from Kimberly Manor, Don Dean, Kim Cantu, Bobby Sabine, Terry McCaskey, Pete Pettis, and Patrick Turcott. And so with that, we are to the consent agenda.
Okay, Councilman Cost.
I would make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the following items. Tribute in recognition of Tri-County Office on Aging 50th anniversary. Special assessment, snow and ice removal, winter 2023-2024. Act 3 2024 vacation of portion of Eaton Road. Setting a public hearing on sustainability, is it? Substantial amendment, fiscal year 2021 annual action plan to include home ARP allocation plan. Reappointment John Scott as an at-large member of the Board of Public Service for a term expiring June 30th, 2028. Reappointment of Kirsten Walters as an at-large member of the Parks Board for a term expiring June 30th of 2028. Appointment of Dustin Howard as at-large member of the South MLK Corridor Improvement Authority for a term to expire July 31st, 2028. Appointment of Dustin Howard, at-large member of the Lansing Entertainment and Public Facilities Authority Board of Commissioners for a term to expire January 30th, 2027, and a property tax poverty exemption guidelines.
Okay, thank you. So we have a proper motion in place, and prior to that, I just want to make sure we have an understanding from our city attorney. There was a comment made last meeting regarding someone sitting on more than one board. Could you please give us an explanation of why that is still possible?
Yes. So specific to this appointment, and it's specific to certain boards and commissions, but there's a prohibition on people serving on more than one board or commission that is established by either the charter or an ordinance of the city of Lansing. In this instance, I think we've got someone that's serving on both a corridor improvement authority as well as the Lansing LEPFA. Both of those are statutory authorities, so they are created through a resolution of the council, but the requirements for the members of those boards and or commissions are set by statute. And that is not referenced in the charter provision that would limit people to being on one board or commission. And so in this instance, it's acceptable. And we have this in multiple other instances through the city. There are a lot of external boards and commissions where the members are still appointed by the mayor and confirmed by the council, but they are statutory boards and authorities. So building authorities, which LEPFA is one, corridor improvement authorities, economic development corporation, principal shopping district, things like that.
All right, well, thank you. So we do have a proper motion in place. Do we have any additional comments or questions? Councilman Jackson.
Thank you. Really quick, I can't let this moment go by to speak about number 11, the reappointment of Kirsten Walters. I know it's on the consent agenda, but I think his job that he's doing on the Parks Board is so extraordinary that it deserves just a little extra attention. If you don't know Mr. Walters, he comes to every meeting that he can come to. He's actually here right now, even though it's on the consent agenda. He goes to all the parks. He follows up with everybody. He goes to the constituent contact meetings. And from, I guess, everybody's account, he's doing a great job. So I just want to encourage him to keep it up, and someone I can aspire to be like one day. So keep going.
All right. So we do have a proper motion in place. All those in favor, please state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. All right, motion passes.
Okay, next we are to resolutions for action. And our first one is the appointment of Tim Damon as a member of the Michigan Avenue Corridor Improvement Authority Board of Directors for a term to expire June 30th, 2026.
All right, thank you. I do want to make mention, though, I meant to mention this earlier. We are pulling item 16 from the resolutions for action, so that will no longer be on here. Mr. Damon, thanks for being here this evening. He did attend our Development and Planning Committee meeting on July 3rd. We had asked him a series of questions. He is the CEO of the Greater Lansing Chamber of Commerce. I asked him a question: if he does get elected on this or get approved to sit on this Corridor Improvement Authority, would he be willing to go into the ward meetings and discuss, what great news that's coming out of that Corridor Improvement Authority? He said absolutely. So with that, I would make a motion to approve the resolution for appointment of Tim Damon. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't make the motion. I apologize. I will ask Councilman Cost for a motion.
I will make a motion to appoint Tim Damon as a member of the Michigan Avenue Corridor Improvement Authority Board of Directors for a term expiring June 30th of 2026.
Okay, we have a proper motion in place. Do we have any questions or comments from council? All right, seeing none. All those in favor, please state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
You can come on up to the microphone here. Right here, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Michigan, and that you faithfully discharge the duties of office of Michigan Avenue Corridor Improvement Authority Board of Directors member according to the best of your ability?
I do.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You just need to sign.
Okay, we'll move on down. So we have a appointment of Alyssa Tursak, sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, as an at-large member of the Arts and Culture Commission for a term to expire June 30th, 2028. With that, Councilman Cost.
I would make a motion to appoint Alyssa Tursak as the at-large member of the Arts and Culture Commission for a term to expire June 30th, 2028.
Okay, we have a proper motion in place. Do we have any additional questions or comments from council? Seeing none, all those in favor, please state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. All right, motion passes. Alyssa, if you're in the audience, please come on down.
Yep, come right into the microphone.
We don't have to.
Phone here. Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Michigan, and will faithfully discharge the duties of Office of Arts and Culture Commission Member according to the best of your ability?
I do.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll keep this show rolling. Number 18, Councilman Cost urging the Board of Regents of the University of Michigan to add a psychiatric facility while also preserving the landmark historic Eastern High School. Councilman Cost.
Thank you, President Garza. What you have is a resolution that was put together by community members and myself, supporting the absolute need for the 120-bed or 120 unit psychiatric unit that Sparrow U of M has proposed. And we support that 100%, while also supporting preservation of historic Eastern High School that was built here in 1927. It is our oldest school that we have standing. We wrote a resolution encouraging the regents to consider doing some historic preservation here in Lansing, as our history is just as important as it is in Ann Arbor, where they preserve their history quite frequently and have landmarks like the Big House. And Eastern is one of our landmarks. So with that, I would make a motion.
Okay, we have a proper motion in place. Do we have any questions, comments from council? Okay. Councilwoman Pellevanoglu.
Thank you, President Garza. I was reading over the resolution that Councilman Cost proposed, and I know this is something that our community members have gone back and forth on. Some completely or wholeheartedly agree with it. They do not want Eastern to be torn down at all, and others feel that a mental health facility, the needs of that outweighs the historic preservation of the building. I think that Councilmember Cost's resolution strikes the right chord because this is an ask. We have, there is a social media group out there that has almost 1,300 community members who are advocating for this. And so, to listen to our community members and say, we support your ask and we're, willing to put this forward and vote on it and send this to the U of M regents. They ultimately have the authority on this, but I do plan to propose to support Councilman Cost's resolution this evening for those reasons.
Well, thank you very much. I too want to just make a quick mention that I do support your resolution. This is a non-binding resolution. However, I think the city of Lansing, our community desperately needs a 120 unit bed mental health hospital. So I definitely do not want to stand in the way of a $100 million private investment, but I will support the resolution as you are encouraged them to preserve what they can with the high school. So I do support that. So with that, we do have a proper motion in place. All those in favor, please state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Okay, then we're next to speaker registration for public comment on city government-related matters. For anyone who'd like to speak on city government-related matters, you have about 30 seconds to find Tyron to fill out a yellow sheet. If you have not already done so, And then with that, we are the reports of city officer, boards and commissions, communication petitions, and other city-related matters.
All right, Councilman Cost.
I would make a motion that all items be considered as being read in full, and that the proper referrals be made by the president.
Okay, thank you. We have a proper motion in place. Any additional questions or comments from council? Seeing none, all those in favor, please state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. All right, motion passes.
Okay, items from the city clerk, minutes of boards and commission placed on file.
Place on file.
Items from the mayor, we have reappointment of Kimberly Whitfield as a fourth ward member of the park board for a term to expire June 30th, 2028.
City operations.
We have the Lansing Gateway Corridor Improvement Authority Development and Tax Increment Finance Plan and the hearing to do so.
Development and planning.
We have several grants here. Grant acceptance for Financial Empowerment Center grant.
Ways and means.
We have a grant for the Ingham County Parks and Trail Millage reallocation and contract extensions.
Ways and means.
And then we have fees, established electronic vehicle charging station fee for city-owned stations.
Ways and means.
Then we have two tied to an order to make safe or demolish to the owners of 1342 North Walnut Street.
That'll go to the public safety.
And then we have the sale of the city property, the resolution, David C. Hauser, Lansing City Hall Building.
Committee of the whole.
And then we have a liquor application for Jalafro Afro Caribbean Lounge. It's a developmental district Class C license with outdoor dance, extended hours, catering, Sunday sales, AM, PM at 221 South Washington Square.
Now we'll go to city operations.
And we're on to motion of excused absence.
Councilman Cost.
I would ask for a motion that Councilman Spatafor, Hussein, and Brown be excused.
Okay, we have a proper motion in place. All those in favor, please state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. All right, motion passes.
All right, any additional remarks by council members?
Any additional remarks from council? Seeing no additional remarks.
Remarks by the mayor?
Mayor Shore?
I would just like to add that I concur with the comments made by the three members on the cost resolution. Love to see both. We need the 120 beds desperately, but I'd like to see Eastern remain standing, so I look forward to the conversation and just want to concur with the comments made by all three, and I'm sure agreed to by all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Shore.
All right, first we have Daniel Arnold, followed by Loretta Stanaway.
Good evening. This is Daniel Arnold. And you might notice that I'm wearing this shirt today, Nation Outside. They have been doing a lot of great advocacy in the city of Lansing and for the state level. They have a number of initiatives out there for fair housing. So homelessness is an epidemic amid the broken and capital city downtown Lansing, Michigan, USA. Well-meaning, suffering, returning citizens have paid their punishment. Unfortunately, they find it atrociously difficult to reintegrate with the local society they return to. Many mercy and a desire to lower the desperate repeat of offense must compel this sanctuary city to include all citizens in life-saving, empowering housing. As a resident, you can stand for a chance to be given to these returning citizens from prison to live in peace and security. I see passionate, driven, kind returning citizens who will positively impact Lansing if given the chance. You can partner with these survivors by joining Nation Outside as a community partner. With the twist of fate, any of us could have walked in these shoes, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God, it says in the Bible. Mercy is calling us to make our city, state, nation a model for a bright spot for second chances. Crime goes down when we extend love to those who are downtrodden. Sign a petition for fair housing. Join a Nation Outside committee. Let your voice of love be heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Loretta Stanaway, followed by Linda Appling.
Okay, just real quick on the Board of Water and Light. Brian Jackson and I don't always agree, but in this case I do. I think that the commissioner or the director of the Board of Water and Light, Mr. Peffley, did a very good job of evading answering questions, specifically how they would get to the 50% by using a natural gas facility. And I noticed that he kind of glossed over how they would do more with wind and solar. And he did touch briefly on the fact that there is a lot of public resistance these days to additional wind farms going up. The public is not approving them. The townships and border communities are not approving them. If they're forced under state law to accept more solar and more wind, I think you may find some revolts happening. But one thing that didn't get discussed at all, which puzzles me, and because we're specifically surrounded by so much water here with rivers everywhere you turn, why there's no discussion of water generation of electricity. We know that it's pretty clean as far as renewable sources go, and we know that we already own the rivers, and we already have all kinds of regulations about how they can be utilized and impact the environment. So it seems to me like exploring the use of hydroelectric as a source for electricity might be something we would want to do. And I guess that's it for me.
Thank you. Next is Linda Appling, followed by our last speaker, Nick Zandy.
Hello. For the record, my name is Linda Appling, and I live in Lansing, Michigan, and Eaton County. What I wanted to talk about was the issue of Eastern, and I am concerned about that in terms of setting it up as some type of historical building. Frankly, I'm opposed to it. It kind of falls in the same category as the Masonic building over there, as far as I'm concerned. The building's over 100 years old. Why should I have to pay 1 cent of my taxes to maintain it? A number of years ago, they had the roof redone, and I think I heard the numbers float around about $1 million just to get that little dinky roof redone. I am tired of my money going for what I view as basically useless endeavors. Why should I have to continue to pay increased taxes for this? And it will come back somehow. Even if U of M goes for it, we are going to have to contribute some money to this. There's no way I can see out of that. Frankly, my taxes are already too much. Defeating in terms of that, and refitting this building will just simply add to that. In terms of the amount of money, I would point out that about 2 years ago, my tax bill for property taxes was about $1,600. I just got my recent bill, and that one is about $2,140 something, a significant increase over the course of time. I'd also point out that Eaton County, bless their heart, they are already planning to ask for a property tax increase in terms of those of us that live in Eaton County. They wanted to go from 5% to 8%, and that will be on the November ballot, as I understand it. There comes a point in time when you cannot keep doing things that are warm and fuzzy. You have to recognize that it costs money, and we have to be careful about where we allocate our resources. I myself, I'll tell you, I've already determined that tax increase that they want in Eaton County, I'm voting no, and will be going to each one of my neighbors, encouraging them to vote no on that too. I am tired of my money going for warm and fuzzy things that really don't do anything. Thank you.
Thank you. Our last speaker is Nick Zandy.
So I'm going to have to speak something that just really makes me angry and agitated, and that was over the 4th of July weekend, and that is people lighting up fireworks even before the sun actually went down. That is just downright wrong when you consider so many things, including the fact that I myself actually own dogs as pets, and they hate it when the fireworks go off. They hide in the back of the... One of my dogs had to hide right in my room because they were so terrified of the fireworks going off, and my parents were afraid to even let them outside even when they needed to, all because the fireworks were scaring them. And I've heard a lot of people complaining about how loud and dangerous the fireworks have become. And it's also especially bad considering that climate change is a thing. Fireworks are extremely bad for the environment, considering that it takes a lot of fire to light them, and considering that they leave a really awful smell, that causes a lot of air pollution. And really, I just don't even understand why people probably without license should be allowed to do this, probably annoying other neighbors who don't like it, myself included. I mean, if fireworks are to be used, they should be used for a public display, meaning that everyone in the community should know that people are lighting up fireworks. And considering how wonky our current regulations on fireworks are, I think there needs to be a change. People need to have a proper certification and a license to actually use fireworks, because there should be loads of professionalism when using them, because fireworks are very dangerous to use, because fireworks can actually hurt somebody and also cause air pollution as well. And better yet, we should also eventually phase out of them completely and start using drone lights, because those are not only quieter, but they're much safer to use and much better for the environment, since they don't pollute the air as much. This whole fireworks thing really needs to stop. I get that it's the 4th of July, but using them for your private use while your neighbors really don't like it, and the point that you don't even have to notify your neighbors that you're lighting them up, even before the sun goes down, there needs to be rules about this, and there needs to be better enforced rules. This is getting really annoying really quickly, and this needs to stop.
That concludes our speakers.
Thank you. With no additional business, we are adjourned.